it looks like 12 or 13-year-old me, like many 12 and 13-year-old boys, was a bit of a pyromaniac. Hello everyone and welcome back to Clue Amateurs. This is Jamie and today I'm coming to you with a bit of a different video. Today I'm doing an unboxing. It's an unboxing of this. This is a survival kit. This isn't one I bought, this is one I made. And you think, well, hang on, why are you unboxing it then? You made it, surely you know what's in it. But I made this survival kit, this survival tin, probably when I was, 12 or 13 years old. And that's like 14 years ago now. And I'll be honest, I can't remember what's in here. I have a rough recollection, but I really can't remember what's in here. So we're going to open this up and see what 12 or 13-year-old me thought it was a good idea to put into a survival tin. Now I'm probably going to ramble and reminisce quite a lot during this video, so I will pop some timestamps down in the description if you just want to see what's in the kit or see different bits of me talking about it. So I've been interested in kind of preparedness and survival and survivalism for as long as I can remember, probably since I was like 6 or 7 years old when I started watching things like Ray Mears on TV. And so it's really something, it's been like a lifelong interest. So it's going to be really nice for me to look back and see what's in this tin. And I'm really glad to be able to share that with you guys. So let's open it up and have a look inside. So starting off with the tin itself, it's like a large tobacco tin. You've got this kind of army man, soldier with this camo print and survival tin. I think I picked this up at a flea market in Devon while I was on holiday and thought, oh yeah, that would be cool. Obviously the tin you could, I suppose, use to heat stuff. You could use to keep a small amount of water in, probably not very practical. And it's held shut with this. This is just a strip of bicycle inner tube cut to what I guess you'd call a ranger band. So I'll get that off. Now this does a really good job of keeping the tin tightly closed. Also, I guess in theory you could use this to lash things together. You could cut little strips off of it and use it as tinder if you wanted to. The tin also has this electrical tape around it to make a nice waterproof seal. So let's get that open and see what's inside. So really quite a good length of electrical tape there. Wow, I got really carried away. Again, so probably a best part of 1 meter of electrical tape there, which again I suppose you could use as cordage for lashing things together. Yeah, so here we have it, and first time this has been opened in well over a decade. So you can see it's packed full of stuff. The inside of the tin is pretty shiny. You could probably use that as some sort of signalling mirror. And you've also got another waterproof seal here. So clearly I was very concerned about keeping this watertight. What have we got inside then? So starting at the top, we've got this wire saw. Can't see the keychain loops for it, but these are pretty good. If anyone's ever used these are all right for cutting through branches and such. So we've got a wire saw. What else have we got? Really weird trying to do this around a camera. So you can see a lot of cotton wool, obviously for tinder purposes. I guess you could use it for first aid purposes as well. And also just stops everything rattling around in the tin. Still on the whole fire theme, we've got a tea light, a good way to keep a flame going for maybe an hour or so. You can use the wax for sealing things, I suppose, and yeah, just a tea light to keep a flame going. Got a really nice chunky ferro rod there. I think this is one of the cheap Carrymore ones. Something has gotten to this though. If you look there, there is a hole right into it. So if there are some matches in here, these sometimes do react with the phosphorus and start to break down, and I think that might be what's happened there. But it feels pretty solid, it's not going to snap or anything. If we can find a striker in here, we'll give it a strike maybe and check it still works. This is a Ziploc bag. As far as I can tell, just wrapped up with, again, a bit more electrical tape, just to keep it nice and compact. And this would be good for storing all kinds of things in, but probably I put this in here as a water container. So yeah, again, not a bad idea. We've got a very small compass. like a little button compass. Now it has been stored in a metal tin with a bunch of iron-based things, which probably isn't the wisest decision, but I know for a fact that north is that way. My flat's windows are north-facing, so yep, that's good, that's still working, so a little bit of navigation in there. Got the classic Maglite Solitaire, not a very bright Maglite. Did I leave this with a battery in? And has the battery survived? No, the battery is not in there. So I don't know how I intended to use this with no battery in. Maybe I realised that I wasn't going to open this up for a while and so left it without, but it wouldn't have been a whole lot of use as a survival tin without it. Now these, for those who don't know, you twist the cap kind of undone like a regular Maglite to turn it on. That all focuses the beam, and if you keep turning, you've got your little candle. So a nice light source if there was a battery for it, which there isn't. So one Maglite Solitaire. Now what else we got in here? Okay, so we've got some Oasis chlorine water purification tablets. Each of these purify 1 litre of water. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So enough chlorine tablets to sterilise 10 litres of water. This is interesting, what have I made here? I'm just dislodging this from the corner. This looks like a roll of dental floss. So I've got a roll of dental floss there. Then wedged through the middle, I've got some foam with a couple of needles, so it can be used for sewing. In the middle there, alongside the foam, I've also got some fishing weights, so little lead weights. And if we turn it over, we've got some barbed fishing hooks. We've got 4 or 5 of those on there, again stuck in the foam. And we've got a bunch of pins. So this will be used as a little sewing kit, but also a little fishing kit in theory. And you've got some safety pins as well there, which I guess could double as fishing hooks or sewing pins. So quite a nice compact kit there. Well done, younger me, for designing that. I have to say I'm quite impressed with that. Also hooked on there, you've got the cutter from the box that the dental floss came out of to make it nice and easy to cut to length. So actually a really nice compact little kit that I've made there. What else do we have? Oh, we've got a knife. Oh wow, that's interesting. So we've got this tiny little penknife. So a very thin blade on there, which is not very sharp at all. We've got a nail file, which I guess is right for scraping stuff, tidying up nails and such. And we've also got a tiny pair of scissors. So I think, if I remember rightly, I picked this up for like a couple of pounds in a newsagent's, in like a weird little gift set they had. It's like the world's worst knockoff of a Victorinox Classic SD. It's just got that kind of very basic tool set with the scissors, the little blade, and the file. Just not a great penknife, but when you're 12 or 13, you probably don't have a great selection of knives. I know I probably owned a couple of Swiss Army knives at that point in my life, but I obviously didn't want to lock one away in my little survival tin. Moving on then, we've got a bunch of matches. The head's been waterproof with way too much wax. That will be a nightmare to get off. And again, wrapped up with electrical tape to keep them together. 4 matches there, which isn't a whole lot, but obviously we do have the fire still, so in theory we do have a way to start a fire. I believe that these are Swanvesta Strike Anywhere matches, so obviously Strike Anywhere matches are now illegal in Europe, or the production of them is illegal, so you can't really get these anymore. I did actually stock up a couple of years ago when I found out they were going to cease production. But in theory, these could be struck on any suitably rough surface. What what have we got next? So we've got a good wodge of plasters, band-aids there. They've actually kept surprisingly well over the years. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 decent-sized plasters or band-aids. Pretty practical to have in there if you get a little cut. We've got a full-size foil blanket that I've managed to squeeze in there. That's pretty impressive, and pretty good idea. Obviously, you know, if you're out and exposed, hypothermia is actually probably going to be the first thing to kill you. You can last a couple of days without water, a couple of weeks without food, but exposure is the top cause of people dying in survival situations. So again, not a bad idea. Getting near the bottom now. Now, as I pulled that out, you will notice these 2 large split rings. These are actually the rings for this wire saw. So actually I have got the wire saw very usable in there. I might actually take this out and use it at some point, demo it for you. So you hook those over your fingers, you've got this strung between it, and you can use this to cut through thin branches. Finally, got a little pack of tyrosine tablets, antihistamines. It's kind of an odd one for me to choose to put in, but I do suffer with quite bad hay fever, like to the point that it can be quite debilitating if I'm stuck somewhere wooded in the summer. I guess also if you are having a severe allergic reaction to something, dealing with that quickly is pretty important. But I'm kind of surprised that I didn't think to include any like painkillers, blood thinners, anything like that. It was the allergy relief that I chose to prioritise. So we've got another fish hook there, which has broken loose from the little fishing and sewing kit. You can see there that that's a little tiny barbed fish hook. Whether or not this would be a whole lot of use for fishing is another matter. I'm not a fisherman myself, but even I can see that this probably wouldn't have a whole lot of luck. And finally, wedged in the side, we've got a striker for the ferro rod. And as I suspected, this is a cheap Carrymore ferro rod. So let's give that a little strike and see if it still works. And I'll try not to knock over the camera in the process. Oh yeah, there we've got sparks. So that still works, even though it's a bit corroded. Yeah, baffling that it's got that hole in there. And that's everything that 12 or 13-year-old me felt the need to put into a survival tin. I don't think I've done a bad job there. I mean, in theory, you've got ways to carry and purify, or at least clean some water up. You've got some form of shelter, something to stop you getting hypothermia immediately, and you've got a bunch of different ways to start fires. So it looks like 12 or 13-year-old me, like many 12 and 13-year-old boys, was a bit of a pyromaniac. I'm going to get this packed up a bit now, and I'm going to talk next about why I don't do stuff like this anymore as an adult, why I don't make these little survival kits. I will maybe try and pack it up on camera. Okay, so there you have it. That's what my much younger self decided to put in his survival tin. I don't think he did a bad job, to be honest. I've kind of hit all the basics, or he hit all the basics. Shelter, some sort of attempt at finding food, ways of purifying water. Yeah, it's not a bad attempt, and that's something I used to really enjoy doing as a kid, putting together these little survival kits, things like that. But as an adult, this isn't something I do anymore. And I've said that survivalism and preparedness has been kind of a lifelong interest of mine, so why don't I do stuff like this anymore? A lot of you might be thinking, oh, you know, I've outgrown it, I think I'm too cool for it now, and it's not that at all actually. If you are an adult and you still enjoy putting together little kits like this, power to you, that's awesome. I think if anything, it's that I take this stuff more seriously now. So back then I'd make stuff like this, but then odds of me actually carrying it pretty low. Like, you know, if I was going for a walk in the woods or something, maybe I'd shove it in my jacket pocket or in my backpack. But the odds of me ever actually taking it places, actually really using it, quite low. Whereas now, I do actually take this stuff, as I've said, more seriously. I always have my EDC on me, so that includes, you know, some basic first aid stuff, pen, knife, phone, the things I need for the day-to-day emergencies and situations that I need to deal with. I think another large part of it is having ownership of the spaces that I use. So if I think back to when I was 12 or 13, I was obviously living at home with my parents. I had my room, but it was still a room in their house. It's not like I could set it up for emergencies. So I would make small things like this to kind of scratch that survivalism preparedness itch. Whereas now, as an adult, I don't own my flat, but I do live in my own place. I rent it, and here I've got it set up for the sorts of emergencies, the sorts of situations that I might have to deal with. In the kitchen, I have a fire extinguisher, I have a first aid kit. Under my bed, I have kind of I don't really like the term bug out bag, I'm not kind of a prepper, but I do have a bag of emergency stuff. Like if I woke up in the night and there was a fire, or I was being robbed or something, I would grab that bag and I would run. Because I know in that bag are the things that I would need to get by for a couple of days. You know, there's some money, there's a phone charger, there's probably a change of underwear, things like that. There's the stuff I would need for that short-term emergency. At work, I have my own lab. I mean, other teachers teach in there, but it's widely considered my lab, and that's set up for the situations I might have to deal with in that room. I have all my teaching supplies. Again, I have first aid kit, fire extinguishers, the things I need to deal with situations that might arise in that environment. In my car, I have so much kit, like it's probably not doing my suspension any favours, but I've got snow grips, I've got a snow shovel, tools, water, blankets, all of the things that I might need in the event of an emergency in that environment. So if anything, it's not that I don't take survivalism and preparedness as seriously as I did as a child, or I'm not as interested in it as I was as a child. It's that actually, as I've grown up, it's something I've worked into my everyday life to make sure that I am always prepared for the situations that might arise. And that's definitely something I would encourage other people to do. I know if you're watching this video, you're probably at least vaguely interested in this kind of thing. But I would really encourage people, especially, you know, in the crises that we've had over the last couple of years with COVID, the Australian bushfires and so on, that actually people do think about am I prepared for an emergency, for a situation that is likely to happen to me. Yeah, so it kind of went off on a bit of a philosophy of carry rant at the end there, but hopefully you've enjoyed this, my little trip down memory lane, and then a bit of a reflection on preparedness and survivalism. If you have enjoyed this, please do consider subscribing. We do lots of gear content like this. We also do car stuff, airgun stuff, all kinds of stuff on this channel. And one of the things I've really enjoyed about getting this channel back up and running has to be interacting with you guys. So I've really enjoyed the conversations I've had in comments. I get really excited every time I see I've got a new subscriber. This isn't a commercial enterprise. I'm not doing this in the hope of becoming a YouTube partner or anything. I just enjoy talking about this stuff and making videos. So please do hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this. Do hit the like button and do let me know what you think in the comments. Right now though, I've been Jamie, this has been Cluey Amateurs, and I'll see you next time.